All right, so there are a lot of entrepreneurs in the building. I already polled the room. We have some aspiring, we have some full-time, we got some that's playing around. We're gonna work on that.
Okay.
But for someone out there who's struggling, trying to figure out, because the question you ask is like, well, what should I do? We're all multi-talented. Like, we all have multiple skills, and you get on the gram and you see all the people doing all the things, and you can kind of get lost in that sauce of what you should be doing. So each of you, what would you say is your best advice for someone who's struggling to decide what they should do?
You have to start, right? But the one thing as a former self-proclaimed serial entrepreneur, I am a serial entrepreneur now, but when I was broke, I was also claiming to be a serial entrepreneur. When the truth was, I had a whole lot of ideas and I had a whole lot of hobbies that weren't producing income. When I decided to stop doing all those things and focus on one thing until successful, that's when success started to happen for me. So if you are someone who's struggling between multiple ideas, which one should we do? Doesn't matter, just pick one, right? It's not difficult to make an idea successful. It's difficult to make multiple ideas successful from scratch. So just pick one, and then the biggest thing after that is get started. Like, you don't know what you're capable of doing until you actually put one foot in the game and then follow it up with the second foot and make some moves.
Absolutely. I love that, especially the just get started piece.
Yeah.
Because too many times we let ourselves get like stuck because we just won't start. So for me, I'm super practical. Even like my mother was super religious. So even with reading the Bible, I was like, all this yay and I say, give me some New International Version. So for me, I always needed it to be, what does it look like in terms of practicality? So I always tell people, I call it discovery mapping. I created it when I was trying to figure out my life. You take a piece of paper, you make 3 columns, so that's just 2 lines, make sure it's a landscape. In the first line, list out all your skills, all your talents, all the things. The second one, I want you to attach a problem to every single one of your skill sets. Every single one, attach a problem to. In that third column, I want you to create a solution. Think of your solution as your product, your service, or your opportunity, and connect a solution to every single one of them. And what you'll find is your purpose is heavily tied to the skill sets that you were innately gifted, whether it's something that you were born with or something that you crafted over time. Your purpose is tied into that. So when you get to that solutions column and you're able to tie in, what will people pay me for? This is a problem that I solve. This is a skill set that I have. This solution column is what people will pay me for. And then one step further, 1 through 5, identify how each of them make you feel.
Yep.
I could break my behind off. Can I curse on here or no?
Girl, stop playing.
Okay, great. Good, because I really wanted to say it this way. I can break my ass off. However, I don't like it. It makes me feel like a 1. So it's not something that I would do or something that I would create because I don't like the way it makes me feel. And I am not okay with making a whole lot of money but feeling like shit.
Mm-hmm. You want to
Can
say
I
a whole lot of
piggyback?
curse words. I know who I got up here, girl. I know.
Can I piggyback off
Yes,
that real quick?
of course.
So what you're saying is absolutely correct. I work with a lot of service-based entrepreneurs, and for those of you who feel like you know information that you want to teach to people or help people with, consult people with, one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give is that your ideal market, typically your ideal customer or client, is typically some version of who you are or who you have been, right? So I help people create clarity in their business, get super, super clear about what you should be doing, what that customer journey looks like, how much you should be charging. But I remember struggling for so many years being a person who was all over the place. I had a foot here, a foot here, a foot here. I'm undercharging. I don't know what to charge. But when I finally started to figure it out and going piece by piece, I sat down and realized that the people who I'm serving today are people who I have been or people in a situation that I am currently in right now, right? And remember that you can always pivot. Where you start doesn't mean that that's where you have to finish.
So I was going to ask you that, Donnie, because you talked about being a serial entrepreneur and having multiple things going on. How do you know when it's time to pick one?
Yeah. My bank account
Okay.
told me.
Okay.
It's time,
Well, there
sis.
it is.
My bank account was like, you carried the 1, and if you divide that by 7, sis, it's not looking that good, right?
The math wasn't mathing.
The math was not mathing, but even more importantly than that, so I was produced by my mom, who is a serial entrepreneur. Like, she's tried everything, and I watched that growing up. But my stepfather, who raised me also, is a very literal thinker, very, very smart, very wise, very I like to say that he taught me the skill of critical thinking. So I am gifted in a lot of areas, right? And I know how to do a lot. And I went through this stage where I wanted everybody to know how smart I was. I can have an engineering conversation with you, and I can have a streets conversation with you too. And so I'm doing all these things, and I'm realizing as I'm building my business and I'm helping people to be successful, I transparently was still broke, like in the beginning. And I had to pick something and go all in on it, because even though I was talented and skilled in all these areas, because I was doing, network marketing at one time, and at the same time I'm doing personal development coaching for women, and then at the same time I'm doing resume writing for somebody else, and then I'm doing business coaching over there, I was average in everything. And average people performing at an average level always make average money.
Yeah.
So I had to make a decision to be great at something, because I identified the amount of money that I wanted to make, and the people who I admired most at that time, like, for example, Oprah. I have admired her my whole life and always did, like the Beyoncés who come up. You see them doing all these things, so you think, oh, well, if they do all these things, Oprah has a show, Oprah has a network, Oprah has a magazine, I can do all these things too. But when Oprah became great, Oprah just had a show. And then she added, she commanded her space, she became an authority, and then she added something else, and then something else. So I started to pay attention to the inner workings of how the people who I would actually trade places with career-wise and financially operate, and I started to operate that same way.
So I've had a conversation recently where someone was like, I don't subscribe to this whole do what you're passionate about thing. Like, where are the profits?
Yeah.
And I feel like you kind of just tapped into this where, you don't want to do anything that doesn't make you feel good, even though it could make you profitable. How do you all feel about going towards what's profitable versus what you're passionate about? And do you think you have to choose?
So I feel like I'm passionate about swimming, right? I'm really passionate about it. I love to swim. I like to swim in the ocean. I like jumping in with the sharks and swimming with like the little animals and stuff. I'm really passionate about that. And also, I'm not about to try and make money off of it. Like, it'll take away the joy from me. When I said I want you to assign how something makes you feel, the reason I want you to assign it is because however the journey feels, that's how the destination will feel. If you are miserable building the business, if you are miserable creating the products and the services, if you are miserable doing that, when you achieve the 6 figures and the 7 figures and the 8 figures, because why stop there, the 9 figures, and you sell it and you do all the things and you get VC funding and all the other things, you're gonna feel like shit. It is not going to feel good. So yes, you can be passionate about something and still decide that, as passionate as I am, this is not the avenue that I should go into, because it does not make sense. It does not feel good to my nervous system, and I won't be able to make money and feel good about the money that I'm making because I don't like it. And then two, understand people don't just buy products and services, they buy solutions. What solution are you providing for them? I bought shoes because I needed something cute to wear with my outfit. You might not understand, or you might be like, oh, but that's a vanity solution. It don't matter. It's a solution. So if you focus and decide, okay, I'm passionate about this, and this also solves a problem, and this makes me feel good, for me, that's the lane I'm going in.